it might be time that we seriously entertain the fact that society as we know it is completely collapsing. And it's not in one of those horrific all at once ways that you might see depicted in movies. It's a slow collapse. And we're just watching it happen with smiles on our face for the most part. In April 2025, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in Muhammad versus Taylor, a case concerning parents' rights to opt their children out of school instruction involving LGBTQ inclusive books. The case arose from Montgomery County, Maryland public schools, where a group of parents sought to exempt their children from lessons featuring books with LGBTQ plus themes, and the Supreme Court's conservative majority appeared sympathetic to the parents' arguments that the school's refusal to allow opt outs violated their First Amendment rights to free exercise of religion. So, like I said, um, society's getting weird. This went all the way to the Supreme Court, which means that it had to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which means that the first ruling wasn't just a cut in stone. Yeah, the parents should have the right to choose what their kids come across and what their kids are taught. And I do have a little bit of problem, I guess, with the parents from Montgomery. And I'm sorry, not Montgomery. That was Montgomery County, Maryland. So from the parents from Maryland, I do have, I guess, a little bit of pushback to say it's religion, to use religion. I understand the need to do that because that's one of those things people can't. It's like, oh well, like it's the First Amendment. It's your right to have whatever religion you want. So I understand like the need to actually use that to win your case. However, I think it sheds a bad light on people that might be opposed to this that have no religious ties or problems with the LGBTQ community. So I don't know, let's get into it. The it says it's books. These are LGBTQ inclusive books. So personally, I mean, I would want to read it. Is it one of those where it just happens to have a mommy and a mommy or a daddy and a daddy in the book? That's one thing, right? Or is it one of those where it's an actual story about the LGBTQ community? The actual story is an outline of how a child comes across the first time, sees a mommy and a mommy or a daddy and a daddy or a transgender person, whatever the case is, where they need to be more open, they need to be more aware of what's out there. um that's really fucking weird. That's really weird. It's to the point where I'm not at all biased. And I feel like I feel like a white person that wants to say something, but wants to make sure, hey, I'm not racist. And he starts talking about his black friends and his favorite black comedians and actors and musicians and shit like that. But I'm just gonna put this out there. My mom's gay. My mom has been with a woman for almost all of my life. Um, I have no problem with the LGBTQ community. However, it is really weird to want to push any sort of agenda about sexuality onto a child. And I would understand if this was something that some parents were hypocritical about, and some of them might be. So I'm just going to go off of my take and my beliefs on this. It would be, how do I phrase this? It would be the same amount of weird if this was done with a heterosexual couple. Why are we talking about sexuality with kids? some conversations probably just don't belong in school. Like, you know what I mean? And we've we've recognized this with the separation between church and state, where you can't go to school unless you are going to like a Catholic or school or some shit like that, where it is specifically for that. Typically, you won't go to a regular public school and see any class. It should not exist whatsoever where they're teaching anything out of the Bible, anything out of that, because then that's not really inclusive to if you have a different religious belief. Okay, and it's weird how this all comes back to religion. It seems like it is all based off of those ideologies, or that's maybe just the word that we cling on to again, where it's kind of like a trump card, like, oh, you can't touch me, it's my religion, haha, nana nana boo boo, you can't get me because I believe in this. And if you had some sort of storybook where it's involving like, oh, I don't even know how you would do that. That's why it's like it's something that's not even typically done, where you were talking about heterosexuality. That would be I don't even know how I would give an example of that. And maybe it's best that nobody even thinks through that, because it might even start being a thing as like a pushback or some shit like that. So by no means am I knocking any sort of community whatsoever. And if you don't believe that, it's okay. I don't care, because you don't know me. And what I do know is, when it comes to children, there are some forces out there that realize that this is the time of their lives where they are most susceptible to manipulation. Their brains are still being molded and, pruned into what they're actually going to be as adults. And to say that it should even be controversial that a parent has the right to either say, no, I don't want them to learn this, or yes, I do want them to learn this. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild. Again, the fact that it even got to Supreme Court. Mm. And then there's nuance to it. There's nuance where it's like, okay, what are we talking about? Because you said based on your religion. So are we doing one of those "thou shalt not be gay" type of thing? Because now you're weird, bro. Like, now you're taking it too far. Are you saying that these are just storybooks where there happens to be a mommy and mommy? Where it's just like, oh yeah, mom tucked me in. Thank you, mommy. Oh, it's all right. I don't know. Again, you see that. You see that if it was a regular heterosexual, and I don't mean regular as in, look at me tiptoeing. This is why society is collapsing. I know where my heart is. I'm gonna sit here tiptoeing like, well, I don't mean like a regular couple, as in what you have is not regular, like you're not normal and stuff like that. God damn, bro. I'm gonna be that white kid with the one black friend, but my mom's gay. Do you really think I got hate in my heart? Fuck it. You get what I'm trying to say. You get what I'm trying to say. But yeah. So if it was a typical heterosexual mom and dad type of situation, you don't even blink twice when what is it? What's the wheels on the bus? The mommy on the bus goes shh shh shh, and the daddy on the bus goes, "I love you." Is that, are we talking about heterosexuality? Are we talking about the fact that it's a man and a woman, and thou shalt not do anything else under God, or you will be condemned? No, no, we're just talking about a mom and a dad. So if it's the same on the reverse, where we're just talking about a dad and a dad, or a mom and a mom, or I don't know, two transgender people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if it's just being brought up like that. But what you'll find with a lot of the LGBTQ inclusive shows, or where it's like you could tell when, and you probably know what I'm talking about. You can tell when you're watching a show that's trying to do like some Black Lives Matter type shit. Where it's like the whole time, it's like you stop talking about the moment for a second or the actual story for a second, and you just get into some random tangent about how we've been misrepresented and we've been so many different things. Where it's like, and I'm not trying to shrug my shoulder. See, again, obviously, like, do I hate myself? No, I don't. I don't. So, fuck tiptoeing around. This is, in my opinion, what's so wrong with society today. So afraid to hurt feelings, so afraid to get our feelings hurt. Sensitive, man. Sensitive. But let's take all of the opinion out of it. The fact that this is even being brought up in a school. That's the conversation that if you want your child to have, they should have it with you, right? If you want your child to have a more inclusive mind, and again, anybody that's met a child that hasn't already been like programmed to be some sort of like hating spirit or some shit like that, they are innocent as fuck. Like, there is no like, oh, you're black, oh, you're gay, oh, you're whatever the fuck. They don't know what most religions are. You know what I mean? They're so innocent that they're not they're not even capable of actively hating something that they know nothing about. They might be curious. Like, oh, what is that? And there was there was a case actually that my girl told me about, where her coworker, I guess it's not a case. It's not a case. I want made it so official, like so serious. It's a case. We put up a case against you. We have a case. There was a moment, I guess, with one of her coworkers at his son's school, and his son had a transgender teacher, and it was something along. And I'm trying not to mess up the details, but it was something along the lines of, they were talking, and the son spoke out. And again, this is like a 6 or 7 year old, 8 maybe. It's like around that age, like around the same age as my kids type shit, where they still are innocent as hell. And then the kid said basically like, why are you talking like that? Like, talking about because they had a feminine high pitched voice, I'm guessing, which is a question I've always had too. So like, I just don't know. It's like, maybe it's just something that I don't know. I don't know. We're not gonna get into it, right? We're not gonna get into it. Tiptoe on the eggshells. Make sure you don't crack any. Fuck. God, society. Anyways, this kid asked, and apparently the teacher is just like, "Oh, you shouldn't be asking things like that. That's rude, blah blah blah," and starts to try and correct the child, and then goes along the lines of something like, I don't think it was a call. I think it was a note, is what she said. So sends a note telling the parents that they need to educate their son about the LGBTQ community, I guess, and just like about the world like that in general. And yeah, said that they should educate them, and that wasn't appropriate and blah blah blah. Bruh snapped apparently. Like, oh really? Should I? Brought it up to the principal. Ended up, apparently the teacher ended up getting let go. Because what? What are you talking? What? What are you talking about? Um, and then there's such a fine line, because some people are like, see, yeah, exactly. Actually, under God, people like that shouldn't be in the school at all. I didn't. I didn't too. See, it's like, I don't even know what that sounds like. Somebody that's actually full of hatred, full of just, I don't even know. Like, those are Those are people where it's just like I almost question if they're real. You know how people be like, there's NPC characters. Sometimes people are just so baffling. The way that they perceive reality is so baffling that it's like you're not real. You're not real. I feel the same way when I was just thinking this the other day when I'm driving, taking my son to school. There are these people that are driving out in the road, and it'll be like 45 miles per hour. Typically, you go like 50, right? I mean, that's what this nigga do. I like to go like 50. Not enough where I've never gotten no speeding ticket, but I'm trying to get to where I'm going as fast as I can. You feel me? And then you got people that are going like 30, 35. What? What? What are you doing? Where are you going? Like, what is your life? You're not real. You're not real. It's like when I don't know, when I was a kid, I played Need for Speed Most Wanted, and you would be like driving, trying to get away from the police, trying to win your race, whatever the case is. And then there's always like that one person driving in the game that is still driving hella slow, like nothing's happening. And then they make you crash and shit like that. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. We're over here street racing. I'm running from 12, man. Like, what are you doing? Those are just NPCs that the game put in there to mess you up. They're little roadblocks you got to get past. And yeah, that's honestly what I'm starting to feel about these people that go any more than like 10 miles or less under the speed limit, unless it's like a true accident. But you feel what I'm saying. Like everybody makes mistakes or whatever. Oh, I didn't realize that it bumped up to 45. But then there's like, you've been going like 5 miles. 10 miles under the speed limit, and there's a whole line of cars behind you. I don't think you're real. I don't think you have anywhere to go because your job is to just be here in this simulation and just fuck with people in traffic. That's the same way I feel about people that have these weird, I don't know, like, again, crazy ideologies where they take a situation like that teacher being completely inappropriate and then maybe taking it to the furthest degree, saying something like, okay, well, we shouldn't have any transgender teachers whatsoever. We shouldn't have any gay teachers whatsoever. We should start. I mean, that's what the military did. Like it was literally like you couldn't be gay in the military. And then I forget which president. It might have been like Clinton or something. I don't know. There was one president that came in and said, "Hey, we'll do a don't ask, don't tell. We won't ask, you don't tell." And then they eventually went out with that. But I remember my mom when cause she's in the military and so is her wife. When they first got together, this was before they got rid of the don't ask, don't tell shit. And they would literally be riding together on base, and we would all, you know what I'm saying? We're all in the back, we're kids, so we're just riding as a family, like maybe going to the bowling alley, some shit on base where we're all together. And I remember my mom, whoever was in the passenger, would have to like put their head down because they like saw somebody in the road from their unit or some shit like that, and they didn't want them to see that they were riding together because that would be suspicious. And it's like, oh, we found out that you enjoy the company of other women. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You've been sinning, and I didn't ask, but you're just showing it off, riding in the fucking car together. What are you guys doing? Having a fucking family moment? Gonna go fucking bowl on this base, in this establishment, under God. Ugh, fucking sickening. And I just remember feeling so bad. Because now that I think about it, it was usually my mom that did it. Because we would usually ride in her wife's truck, because it was the biggest one. Um, and my mom would usually be the one that would have to kneel down, and she would do it so scared, like a kid trying not to get caught by their parents or some shit. And it's like, damn, that's what they actually really used to do to kids back in the day. I mean, some people actually still do it to kids, where they feel so closeted by their own sexuality that, oh my God, I have a boy over or I have a girl over, you know what I mean? Like whatever the situation is, and then they hear their parents come home or something like that, and it's like, but it would be completely fine if it was somebody from the opposite gender. It's sickening. the fact that people think that other people's lifestyle is sickening. But it's also it's also what we've always done. We've always sought to control others, to say what is right, what is wrong, and this is no different. So, using a situation like a teacher going way out of line with a kid and getting upset at them for asking, "Why do you talk like that?" You know what I'm saying? Like that's such a child thing to ask. And again, we're not talking about like there ain't no middle schoolers where it's like, bro, come on, you know what the fuck going on? Like you're being an asshole. No, this was like a 7-year old or some shit like that, in like second grade, first second grade, asking like, why are you talking like that? You know what I mean? He probably sees his dad, sees his uncle, sees his grandpa, sees all these other male figures, and then you assume because this is your life that they've already seen this, and then because they haven't, it's shame on you. The fact that I tiptoe as somebody that has a gay mom, has had a gay mom for almost all of his life, and also grew up in a time where it wasn't as accepting, and it was, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like now. Like now, again, kids might have some shit like that happen. There was, we didn't, I never even heard of a transgender teacher. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't, I don't know, we weren't even talking about this. Like, I didn't even, in fact, until my mom actually did that when I was like 7. I didn't even know that like some people get with the same gender, you know what I mean? And then still I didn't really like think about it. It was a different time. It was one of those things where it wasn't it wasn't such a bad thing if you start to question. If you like think about like how teenage boys are like, what are you gay? Oh, gay. You know what I mean? They say little whatever dick, faggot, you know what I'm saying? Saying stuff like that. And oh, excuse me if I just hurt your feelings. If I just triggered you. I never wanted to trigger you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to trigger you. But it wasn't said in a way where it was I'm actually being from what I saw growing up, where I'm actually being hateful. It's more just like that's the term of phrase. Like that's just what you say. And I remember actually when I was a kid, there was I had to be like 10 years old. It was to the point, yeah, I was here in Georgia, so yeah, I had to be like 10 or 11 years old. And this is back when they had commercials and shit and you watch network television before streaming. And there was this commercial where it was basically saying like it's mean to say gay or to say something is stupid instead or to say something is gay instead of stupid is mean. And it was like the first time I ever got any sort of propaganda or advertisement that's like, oh, like you shouldn't say that. And I just remember I remember actually I'm trying not to I'm gonna laugh at myself. I'm not judging myself. I'm laughing at my younger self because I just remember after I saw that, that really kind of hit me. Because it's like, I love my mom. Like, what do you, like, that's not what I mean. It's just like, that's just what people say. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've said it. I'm not going to lie. I've said it. I've said it. Shit. I didn't even mean it like that, though. Like, fuck. This whole time it's been misconstrued. And I remember, this is the part that I'm going to laugh about. I remember I would correct people. I've always been that type of person. Where it's like if I truly feel something, I've never been like Captain America, like, hey, don't do you know what I mean? Like, nah. But it's just like, hey bro, you shouldn't say that. You know what I mean? Like by the way, you should just say it's stupid, you know what I mean? And then people knew that I had, a gay mom, so it was like one of those like and it wouldn't be like just random people. It would be like my friends. Just like, hey, let me educate you. Let me tell you, this it's not right. It's not right. And because they're my friends, they don't want to sit here and talk shit about my mom, start throwing hands or some shit with me. And now we're not friends anymore over some stupid thing that really didn't mean anything. It's just kind of like, all right. And I didn't do it like crazy. I just remember for sure I had said that to several people. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. Shouldn't say that. And all that being said, I was trying to figure out where the fuck I was going with that. Excuse a nigga real quick. But all that being said was I came up in that time where I was kind of the minority for even briefly saying, "Hey man, don't do that." It's like for the most part, people were just being people, you know what I mean? And I feel like everybody says that now. I see like my kids and how they're like growing up. So of course, like back in my day, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be like the classic these generations as they continue to progress, but maybe it is a stereotype and a cliche for a reason. Maybe because we are actually going in a downward direction and sometimes it's not with everything. So I'm not one of those people like, back in the 50s, I bet we're the best. Like fuck that. Like what before modern medicine, when everybody like you could like fucking die if you get like diarrhea or some shit like that, because there's no like I don't even know if that's accurate, but you know what I'm saying, bro. Like it was also a disgusting time. Like people would shit in the streets, and I don't even remember. Like we should look it up real quick. When was sewage invented? Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. It said 4000 BC. When was city water system invented? 1652. Okay, all right. I'll give it to maybe it's like see, I look like one of them. It's like, bro, it's the 1950, not 1650. This is why you fact check, ladies and gentlemen. Still, you couldn't bring me back there for nothing. For what? I just looked up when the fuck like the water system shit was invented. And when sewage, the idea of sewage happened in 4000 BC. That was before Christ, my nigga. Before fucking Christ. We were dealing with shit. So no, I don't want to go back. I don't. And I love the time that we're in. I love the fact that we are progressing in that way. So when I say society is on a downfall, I don't mean technologically. Shit, we're getting so much better. AI, you know what I'm saying? You got quantum computing hopefully coming soon, AGI, all of this shit where we're going to actually have robots walking around. There's going to end up being more robots than people. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's crazy. There would never be more robots than people. There's already more guns in America than there are people in America. We like our tools. We like our things. We like our stuff. So, I love the time that we're in. But that being said, looking at how kids are coming up now, where you can have a situation like that, where a teacher sits here and shames you. And this was in front of the class, mind you. This wasn't like, hey Johnny, let's go talk outside. From the way the story was told to me, this was right here in class. Told this kid, and I just remember being like, I wish a motherfucker would. I wish somebody would. I pray somebody doesn't do some shit like that as my kids go through school. I'm already so apprehensive of them going through the school system. The only reason why I truly want them to go through it is because of the interaction that you get with other people. Having to deal with the person that's an asshole, having to have your first little crush, or having to, I don't know, feel embarrassed and to shit for the first time at school and everybody goes in the bathroom. It's like, ew, you smell bad. I don't know, whatever fucking, you know what I mean? Pitfalls and road bumps that you end up having through school socially. Those are so important. And it's not like you can't get them in other places. But that is a huge pro for the school system. And when I think about things like that happening, and I think about the kids that are actually being brought up now that don't have the reference to look back and say, I remember when this wasn't a big deal, when it wasn't like a hatred thing either, where it wasn't like where I could say, bro, you're retarded. And I'm not talking about people with any like mental disabilities. I like you would always see the special class and and literally I don't know about everybody. I would feel like shit, bro. I don't even know why. It's just like you just I don't even know if that's the right response either. It's like is that bad now? Like if you have too much like empathy and pity, it's just like no, I'm just like everybody else. Like why can't we be humans? Why can't we have human responses? And we put so much power into words and ideas when at the end of the day, most people don't have hate in their heart, especially children. And again, seeing the differences between how it was and how it is now is something that is able to change my perception, change my frame of reference when I see how everything is now. But for a child that's only been here for 7 years, I mean, shit, it was probably like, yeah, 2018, 2019 when shit really started like getting more and more. I hate to say like the woke ideology, but it's like, again, we're people that love to put names and phrases on something to describe it. Whatever you want to call that, that's when it became more and more prevalent. Which again, even if for kids that are a little bit older, those are your first, if you were born in 2015, I mean, shit, the first few years, you're not even going anywhere. You're just with your parents. So by the time you do go into the school system, by the time you do go out, it's a scary time to have kids just because people people will put themselves in a position of influence like a teacher and then assume it's a position of power and then believe that it's their right to construct the worldview for every child that they come across. And that's fucking scary. So anytime you see a case like this where it's taken all the way up to the Supreme Court, it's something that you should raise your eyebrows about. The fact that they said this will likely end up in the parents' favor because the Supreme Court right now is leaning more conservative, I guess, which means like Republican, and Republican are the more like from what most people know is like under God and no abortion and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So of course it's like no LGBTQ. So my fear for these kids growing up in this time is for me to feel like I am tiptoeing around, for me to feel like I have to explain every little thing. And it's not always, but I'll catch myself doing it. I'll catch myself being like, okay, if it's like I've worked with a few transgender people over the years, and then I might be like she, or I might be like he, because like specifically the first one was fucking hell, biologically born a girl and then ended up going by they them whatever, was an awesome person. There's nothing against them. They never made me feel no type of way or anything like that. But I just remember I would accidentally say she. And this was back like you know what I mean? Like 2017 type of thing. And I just remember being like, oh fuck. I mean they you know what I mean? It's like it would never be when I'm talking to them. It would be when I'm talking like in reference. Be like, hey, are they supposed to do this? Like something about the job. And you're like, yeah, she did. Fuck. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm light skinned too. So it's like I feel when my face gets red. Like I physically feel that shit. And I just remember being like, damn. So there's been situations like that where I'll catch myself being like, oh, like I didn't mean any. I've done it a couple times just since I started talking, Which is like, obviously, let me preface this with I have no hate in my heart. Oh, by the way, let me tell you about my background. So maybe you'll even be more likely to believe like I'm not coming from this from a hating standpoint. It's coming from it from a concerned parent. And even if I'm not a parent, you know what I mean? I feel like, and it's hard to say because I am a parent. But it's like I guess it's one of those things where it's like, how do you not see this? How does anybody see this as anything differently? You know what I mean? Because even if I wasn't a parent, I would like to think that I would think that that's crazy. And these kids are going to be tiptoeing so much more. They're going to have so much more anxiety about what is politically or socially correct. They're going to feel that much more overwhelmed because this is also the time in their lives where it's easy, like I said earlier. If you don't believe me, fuck you. Not really. But I don't fucking care. Not fuck you, because I don't know you. And that's kind of my point. Like, you don't know me. But that kind of fuck it attitude, I didn't always have that. Some people are blessed to have that. I wasn't one of those people. I'm still working on that, if I'm going to be real. Um, so think about the socially awkward. Think about the people pleasers. Think about the people that just want to be accepted because they have something going on at their home life where they don't feel truly accepted or seen or anything like that. So it's that much more important to them when they end up getting into these social standings and they can't be an outcast. They can't be cast out of the group. This is everything I have. It's everything. You know I love you. You know I love you so much. There's there's nothing I wouldn't do for this. And this, right now, me growing up as a teenager, is the most important time of my life. And these are the friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. And there's nothing that's going to be more important right now. And I fucking love you. It's so intense growing up. Shout out to that show on Netflix, Big Mouth. Because they kind of show how fucking crazy it is growing up. You could talk about high school. Middle school is pretty fucking wild, bro. Like middle school, for me personally, is when I remember shit popping off. Like that's the first time I saw some movie bully shit. Like a bully. I saw a bully, bro. Like from the movies. And I remember I was in sixth grade and I was like, what the fuck? Should I tell the story? Should I tell the story about the time that I saw the craziest movie scene bullying in my life? And it might show how much of a bubble I grew up in. For this to be the worst type of bullying. Some people be like, man, the bullies back when I grew up. Shit, they'll fucking stab you. They'll fucking shoot your ass. Talk about a bully. We had murderers. All right, I'm not gonna name any names, but this story is 100% true. I was in sixth grade. It's like maybe a couple months into it. It wasn't quite cold yet. I remember that because we were walking outside on the track for gym class. So maybe a couple months into the year. This is also the first time where I moved to like a new city. So I didn't know these kids too. Sixth grade, fresh middle schooler. I got a locker? What? Get to change classes? What? And at this point, I had already got a couple friends, you know what I'm saying? Like I had a couple groups that I fit in with. Um, and for gym class, they would take us out to the football field and they would have us go around in laps. Everybody would kind of naturally go into the little cliques, you know what I'm saying? Go into your group, go into the people that you're going to talk to for the next 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was that we had to walk out there. And just Just a little quick little PS. Ain't that some bullshit? That's gym class. That was gym class. I'm just not thinking about that. Gym class was walking around the fucking field. The fuck do we pay you for? You just watch kids go across the field, and then I'm about to tell you this shit, and you're about to be like, what the fuck do we pay them for? Walk around the goddamn field. So I'm in my little group, everything's cool. And then, of course, sometimes when you're in a group, there's some people you know better, some people you know not so much. And they're just kind of like cool by association. Like, oh, you're friends with so and so, who's friends with so and so. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like 10 of us type shit. And I just remember there was this one dude that was like super popular. And he was also like tall too. I remember like back in sixth grade, bro, I was short. So I just remember like that nigga was tall as fuck and he was popular. He was like funny, cool, like, you know what I'm saying? Seemed like a cool nigga type shit. We all chilling. And then I just remember out of nowhere, he was just like, hey, yo, and they see some shit that's funny as hell. I was like, hey, yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm just kind of like watching, you know what I mean? Just kind of observant. This nigga bolts across to the other side of the field, sees this one dude, skinny little scrawny white dude that's doing nothing to nobody, literally walking by himself. He has no group. That clique that I say that we naturally go into, this nigga didn't have one. You feel me? And I don't know if that's because it was a lack of friends or he's an asshole or he just likes being alone. I didn't know. I just saw this kid walking alone. I've walked alone. This guy was tall. He was popular for a reason. He was on the sports teams and shit like that. He was the athlete. He sprints full speed. Literally, if you know it's a rectangle for a field, we was like in the middle of the short end of it on the sides, and Buddy was like in the opposite corner. So it's damn near the entire fucking field. He sprints full speed, puts his arm back, whop, punches that nigga straight in his cheek, knocks his ass down, starts dying with laughter. And then I just remember everybody around me just started fucking dying like hyenas. And I felt like fucking that Mean Girls movie where she says something like, I know how this would be solved in the wild. And she's like in the lunchroom or some shit and everybody's just fucking like wild animals going after each other. I just remember being like, what the fuck? But you gotta keep it cool, right? It's like, huh, okay. I'm not laughing. But I ain't gonna be this isn't gonna be the time where I'll be like, hey man, you know, it's probably not the best thing you should do. And maybe that's because maybe I'm a bitch for that. You know, maybe I was a little pussy ass nigga for that because I knew what was right. And to this day, bullying is like that's a pet peeve of mine. Like when it comes to my kids, when they start bullying, if there's any like sense of like they're bullying each other or being a bully in general, like I'm on that shit quick. I really despise bullies. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm better. You're nothing, you're lesser, you're worse than anything that I'll ever be. This is just fucking it's that is disgusting. That is sickening. But I remember seeing that shit. And then they, you know, they laughed or whatever. And then that was like basically at the end. Those coaches that I was just like, the fuck? What is it to just take kids out? How's that gym class? Walk around the field. They didn't even see that shit. This nigga was like full sprinting from one side of the field to the other. Cold cocked this motherfucker right on his fucking head. Knocked his ass down, started laughing like a group of fucking animals. And y'all ain't see that shit? What the fuck was you doing? Whatever. I'm not gonna just cast blame, right? I'm not just gonna say it's the coach's fault, because of course not. People like that fucking exist. People like the kid that got hit fucking exist because the story didn't end there. I ended up blowing the whistle, ended up having to go back in, and that wasn't the part that really bothered me. The part that bothered me was when we went back in, It was where, it was middle school. So it's like, oh, wow, we get to change for gym class type of days. So we went to the locker room where you have your regular school clothes because you want to change out of your gym clothes. And I walk into the locker room, and just as I'm walking in, I see the nigga that ran and punched the dude. He comes up on him, and he was like all up on his ass on the locker room, and he was like, "And what are you gonna say if the coaches ask what happened?" And Buddy just was looking at us, that I fell, that you fell. People like that exist too. Cause shit, me, bro, you gonna have to beat my ass right here, right now. I ain't going out like no little bitch though. That I fell. And I'm not sitting here saying, honestly, at that time, let me think. I probably wouldn't have had the fucking attitude enough to be like, say something. Again, this dude, I'm talking about, he's looking down at him. He's like a good foot bigger than him. He is athletic. This other guy, I'm talking about, you can get him soaking wet. He still ain't hitting 100 pounds on the weight. He's skinny as hell. Like, I was a small dude in sixth grade. Bro was smaller. You feel me? So it's just like just seeing this David and Goliath type situation, but you don't have a David that has a fucking slingshot saying, I got this. You just got a Goliath going down like a tyrant, looking down like some motherfucking domineering bitch. Because that's what I saw. But to me, at that point in time, I probably wouldn't have said anything if that was me. I probably would have just looked at him, just been me mugging him. I don't know if I would have swung. I probably wouldn't. But one thing I know I wouldn't have done at 12 years old, because that's how old we were. 12. This nigga didn't look 12. No wonder. At 12 years old, some people just they don't know how nasty the world can be. And we might have both found out. Me that day and that white boy that got hit. We might have both found out how nasty the world could be that same day. The only difference is I was looking at it like a fly on the wall. And he was looking at it from first person perspective. And I know it seems like I went out in the woods a little bit, but I'm gonna reel this shit back in. This is what I mean when I say kids nowadays that have to tiptoe so much to make sure that they're not ostracized. Excuse me. To make sure that they are a part of the group. I think back on times like that where people were just downright ugly, cruel, mean, vindictive. And that person might have grown. They might be a nice person now. You know what I'm saying? Like, my point is, if you could do that to somebody for no reason, imagine if you do something to actually go against the group. So it's in the best interest for these kids once something starts being socially accepted and starts being like, hey, by the way, if you didn't know, you know what I mean? Like you're a Nazi if you say anything else. A Nazi. A fucking Nazi. That's the word that is used now. A Nazi. Who cares? Who cares about how many poor people were killed by actual Nazis back in World War II? Who cares? How horrific these people actually were and how intense the violence was. How fucking hatred just coursed through their fucking veins, and they were vocal about it. They were physical about it. We're going to ignore all of that. If you say something the opposite of what I think is right, you're a fucking Nazi. You're a Nazi. And you can hail whoever you want. You're going to hell. Of course, you're just going to go with the narrative. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All these years where again you're being molded, you're being shaped into the person. Are you the Mr. Agreeable, the one that just I fell? Are you the people pleaser? Are you the one that just like laughs at everything just because even though you know it's wrong, do you just laugh? Like what are you gonna be? This is the time where you find out. And again, this is why I think school is so important. Like you know what I'm saying? Like using this time frame in a person's life to teach them about any sort of ideology. Not only is it wrong, it's just fucking reckless. It's reckless to think that they even need to know about this stuff. Will they know about it? Of course. You know what I mean? If I were to walk down the street, down like downtown or some shit with my kids and they see somebody just slumped over in the alleyway or some shit and they're like barely conscious. They got a needle sticking out of their arm. They smell like you can smell the fucking shit that's coming off of them from like multiple feet away, multiple yards away, whatever. You end up smelling that. You end up seeing that. You end up seeing this fucking incapacitated person. What do you think a kid's gonna say? What's wrong with them? Why are they sleeping right there? You know? That doesn't mean that I want to be like, okay, now you need to be educated about this. You need to know. I know you're only 5 and you're only 7, but there's just some things that you need to know. First of all, you don't point. You don't point. That's not a homeless person. That is somebody that is unhoused or whatever the fuck term that they want to use now. And come at me, motherfuckers. I was homeless for almost a year. So it's like, I'm not coming at nobody. This was like ridiculous. Ridiculous. You can't even say homeless anymore. It's the unhoused. You know what I mean? It's not a drug addict. They have a sickness. And again, I'm not saying that people that are actually addicted to drugs don't have some sort of sickness with their addiction. Of course. But this isn't going to be the time that I fucking teach it to my 5 and 7-year-old, to my first grader, second grader, third grader, as a teacher to any motherfucking grader because I have no right to do that. Why would I teach them about this? Why would I teach? Well, actually, if you take heroin, you end up basically fucking up your life, and you might end up like this. And yes, you end up having the Dare program and like different like drugs are bad, okay, type of shit. And in fact, that kind of even like proves my point. When you do finally get to the age where you see like the drugs are bad classes or whatever, they end up basically saying like everything leads to everything and don't touch anything, and you end up, you know what I'm saying? You end up becoming that immediately. Don't try anything once. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the laws have gone against some of the things that were said about marijuana, for example. That hey, it turns out if you smoke weed, you don't necessarily just go running for a needle and try to become a heroin addict or a meth head. It turns out that actually, if you smoke weed, not that we encourage it because you should just stay home, but it turns out that there's barely anybody that's just randomly hitting people or hitting a group of like a family that's in their minivan on the other side of the fucking highway because they crossed the median because they're smoking weed or they just got done with a weed bar from the weed bar. You know what I'm saying? No, that's alcohol, the thing that we've been let legal. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of shows you that even when it does start to creep into, well, let me teach you about this. They teach it from such like a perspective where it's such a, you know what I mean? Thou shall not ever do this, and it's just like you want a kid to go into a room, tell him, hey, don't go in there, don't go in there. What you think they're gonna do after you leave? Maybe not right away, maybe not the next week, but eventually they're gonna be like, and they'll just hear that voice in their head, don't go in there, don't go in there. Then the other side, they'll be like, oh, there's something fucking good in there. They don't want us to go in there. because they got some good shit locked away. Fucking grown-ups. They thought I was stupid. I'm going in there. That's how far off it can get with drugs. To the point where, again, yeah, the ideology of it gets pushed down. The same thing is going to be happening with the LGBTQ community or any type of sexuality, even if it's like religion. I don't believe in that either. Why are we teaching religion? Teach, don't preach. Like, this is not a church. I need you to teach. Don't say under God and all of this. Like, and honestly, I'm one of those people where it's like you could say, "Oh my God," "Oh Jesus Christ," stuff like that. So I'm not saying, "Oh, you said the G word." No, of course you're going to say words, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you're preaching the ideology. You might even say the Pledge of Allegiance under God, indivisible, but you're not teaching an ideology. You know what I mean? So, if these were books where there is some sort of ideology put into it, I could see myself having a problem with that as well. Because depending on where that's coming from, and then let's be realistic, these are going to be groups that are advocating for the LGBTQ. God damn, I gotta say those letters every single fucking time. That's a Sally sells seashells. God, the LGBTQ community, it's probably somebody that's advocating for them. I'm like, hey, we need to be more inclusive. We need to be more diverse. And because of that, those same type of ideologies, okay, who are the ones that are saying we need to tell these kids that drugs are bad? They're not people that go home and smoke weed and you know what I mean. They might trip on some mushrooms here and there. They're not. They're not going to be one of those people. They're going to be one of those people where I drink beer, I smoke cigarettes, and the only drugs that you should be taking are the opioids that are prescribed by your doctor. Um, right now I'm on Percocets and Xanax and Adderall and a whole bunch of other shit that's got me all types of twisty turvy. But any of that other marijuana shit, you need to keep that. You need to keep that away. These are going to be the people that are advocating for the teaching of let's teach kids about drug abuse. Let's teach them hey, drugs are bad. By no means should you ever use it. These are going to be the people that I believe that you should never use drugs. It's a black and white statement. Every single drug is bad unless a doctor says it's okay. And doctors are always right because they have a lab coat on and because you got to trust the science. You can't be a science denier. A fucking science denier. You're going to hell. Denying science. So you can advocate for all of those types of drugs. But then when you go to the schools and say, let's teach kids not to do drugs, of course you're going to have a blanket. All of them are bad. I'm coming from that ideology as a person. That's the whole reason why I think this is important to tell kids, because all of them are bad. People that are captured completely by any type of religion. Like if you get a Jehovah's Witness that is knocking on your door, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to get somebody that's a Jehovah's Witness knocking on your door and they believe in some of it. They believe that there's it's a spectrum as far as like what is actually true. And I don't even know. I honestly don't know. What is that? Mormons, the Book of Mormon. I don't know anything about that. Maybe I shouldn't be speaking on it. But where they have maybe more of a nuanced perspective. No, chances are, if you get a Jehovah's Witness, you know what I'm saying, especially where I'm at in the heat of Georgia, like it's hot as fuck, and you coming over here knocking on my door, sweating and shit like that, talking about you want to tell me about Jesus or God or whatever, you are probably a serious, devout believer. You know what I mean? And then the same thing is going to be said with the LGBTQ community. And these are going to be people that are like that. We need to be super inclusive. Everybody needs to know about this. There should not be any child in America that asks why a transgender person is talking that way. That is unacceptable. And I know that we're supposed to be teaching like writing and reading and math and all of that shit. That's already becoming more and more outdated with every single year that passes because, fuck, look at where we are with the world, and we're still teaching the same curriculum that we've done for how long now? Put that aside, because the most important thing is that you do not ever, ever mess up a they them pronoun. You know when and when not to use it. You know when and when not to question somebody's voice. It could be just like a regular dude. Oh, there, I said regular again. I didn't mean it like that. You got me. A biologically born male. I'm sorry. Or a biologically born female. And if they have a cold or something where it's like, oh, yeah, how you doing? It's like, why are you talking like that? Why is your voice like that? You can have these questions with them. That's fine. And I mean them, not them. Okay? Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page because this is serious. This is the backbone to our society continuing to prosper. The backbone. And by the time we try to tell them when they're like 18, 20, when they got into the colleges and shit, some of them, it's really hard to like break their ideologies. It's like they already have their own beliefs. So I'm really thinking, and just hear me out, and hold the applause. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. Your hands are going to be touching at the end of this. I've been thinking, maybe it'd be a good idea. Instead of waiting all the way to college, we get in when they're young. When do you start school? About 5. It's kindergarten, okay. So, yeah. We'll give them 1 year. 1 year. No, fuck it. As soon as they come. I made up my mind. I'm sorry. I should have polished this idea before I actually laid it out for you. Genius. Either way, though. As soon as they come into the school system, let's go ahead and start teaching them about, you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. LGBTQ community. We got to start teaching them. And this whole time, I just realized based on the article that I read or the little thing that I saw on Google, it is the LGBTQ plus anybody else. We have to teach that. Because if we just end it at the Q, we're going to have to kind of go through this whole fucking thing all over again. So, because this isn't my first rodeo, let's go ahead and just put plus at the end. Everybody. Let's go ahead and teach everything about everybody. Except for like most of history that is taught. I want that to be only from the perspective of white men. And then when we have any other perspective, I want you to make a note of it. I want it to be a thing. I want people to know this was from a woman. This was from an African American. We love you. We love you. I told you to hold your applause, but I don't hear any fucking clapping. I don't hear any clapping. I just know it was genius. And if anybody wants to fight me on this, you could email me at I'm not inclusive at lgbtq.com. Yeah. And then as you're typing in my email, you think about why you're fucking messaging me in the first place. Motherfucking I'm not inclusive. Think about that. But yeah, by all means, you can message me. And if there are any parents that have any issues with this, we're gonna take it to court. And if they don't come up with something, we're gonna keep taking this to fucking court until we get all the way up to the Supreme Court. And we're gonna jam this fucking agenda down your fucking throats. Just like men enjoy dicks down their throats, and just like women enjoy eating vagina. I know, it might ruffle your fucking feathers, but this is the life. This is the world that you're living in, son. This is America. And if you don't, I don't care if you accept it. Oh, you accept it. Oh, cool. You don't care? Oh, awesome. But if you don't accept the fact that I want to teach you and all of your other classmates about this, we're going to have a fucking problem. Tell your parents to hit me up. I'm not inclusive at LGBTQ+.com. Sorry, I messed up the last email because I forgot the plus. You should be ashamed of yourself. Fucking bigot. Nazi. Fucking Nazi. Fucking Nazi. I just wanna tell your kids about all of that. About all of it. And I don't care if you don't think that any type of sexuality should be taught to kids. That's not my concern. The penis and the vagina together are not my concern. Penis wants to not be a penis, my concern. Penis wants to touch another penis, that's my concern. Vagina and vagina, 2 donuts, we got that too. I don't give a fuck about your heterosexual problems. And frankly, it's disgusting, and it shouldn't even be taught at schools, period. But I'll see you in court. Yeah, society is fine. Society is, it's fine. It's fine.